Hello and welcome to the Culture Swally, a podcast dedicated to Scottish news and pop culture. My name is Nicky, and as always, I'm joined by the man who this week has been desperately searching for a second-hand cheeseburger van. It's Greg. How are you today, Greg?
Very well. I look forward to the little preamble at the end of your introduction, just to see how you're going to connect me to the week's subject matter.
I'm never sure whether I actually keep going with it, but now I feel that I'm going to have to. I think previously I did it with the previous episode, but now it's maybe just lazy that I'm linking it into the current episode, but hey, I'm going to keep going with it, I think. Cheeseburger van was the best. I was going to mention that you just in receipt of a new flat cap and a snazzy leather jacket, but I went for the cheeseburger van instead.
You could have said that I've just finished building my extension or something like that.
Oh, that would have been a good one, actually. Yeah, I should have went for that. Oh, damn it. Totally forgot about that. Never mind. Everything good with you?
Yes, everything is good. Going through which I'm sure if any of our listeners have school-age children are going through the same, and that is try to find things to do in the summer holidays to keep them entertained every day, so they're not just like playing on their iPads or their Switches or whatever. So
I was about to say, you not just stick them in front of the TV.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's a different time, you know what I mean?
Why don't you get onto YouTube and see if there's any old episodes of Why Don't You, and then you can do some of the things that were on Why Don't You.
That's a good idea. I mean, it's funny you should mention that, because obviously you and I were talking about classic Scottish TV adverts after we recorded the Filth episodes, and we were sponsored by our very, very old friends at, was it Allied Carpets, or was it Sterling?
It was Sterling.
Sterling.
Tillicoochray, near Stirling.
Near Stirling, yeah, in Dougie Donnelly. So I was having a wee look, and my youngest daughter Renee came in, and we ended up watching about 20 minutes of old, sort of not just Scottish TV adverts, but British TV adverts, and she thought some of them were quite funny, particularly the Lurpak man like rowing on the slice of toast across the breakfast table.
Oh, did he not have a name?
He might have done. There's a really, I guess, in hindsight, inappropriate advert with the Home Pride flower guys. Remember, they were like the wee white guys with the black bowler hats and stuff. And
yes.
They were talking about some new Asian range of food. And they had this little Japanese stereotype Home Pride man, which even my 10-year-old daughter was like, oh. You know, but
oh dear.
Well, what I'm trying to get to is, after we'd done that for 15-20 minutes, she said, well, what programmes did you watch on television when you were like my age, Dad? So I had a wee skip through, and we found, do you remember Trapdoor?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, of course you do. Yeah. So we ended up watching 3 or 4 episodes of Trapdoor, which I was kind of looking at her watching it. It's still kind of good, you know, like the jokes they're kind of like slapstick and a bit funny and everything, and she was just kind of a bit perplexed and bemused by it all, but she was sort of into it a wee bit, you know. Then my oldest daughter came down and was like, oh, can you turn it off? We watched this is rubbish, turn it off, because she's like 13 and too cool for all that shit now, you know.
You're never too cool for Trapdoor.
It'll come back to her when she's older, I'm sure. But she's going through that phase where the only things that are good are things that she likes, and everything that everybody else likes is just shite. We were watching America's Got Talent the other night, and she was quite critical of a lot of the acts. She's not easily impressed these days.
Well, yeah, I mean, they've just cancelled X Factor, but maybe there's a niche for a new talent competition in a few years' time. If they revive it, then your daughter would be ideal to be a judge. She could be the next Simon Cowell.
Exactly. So lots of like young people craving her approval. What have you been up to since we spoke last?
Absolutely fuck all. I really need to think of something exciting to say for this point. I usually just hand over to you, but I can't actually think of anything that exciting that I've been up to.
I can think of something. The SPL started again this weekend.
Well, it has, but I didn't want to date the podcast too much in terms of that. I mean,
like 2 weeks.
It's fair enough. We do record 2 weeks in advance, I would say. So yeah, currently we're recording, and yeah, the SPL has started again. I've timed this slightly incorrectly, and I'm recording whilst it's the first Aberdeen game of the season. So I did watch the first few minutes, and now I've just got the BBC up. So if I get slightly distracted at any point, you'll know why.
We can update that Aberdeen are currently a goal ahead with 41 minutes played of the first half.
Yeah, so the game will be over by the time we finish recording, so you might hear me get a little bit sadder as the podcast goes on. Let's see, we'll need to get to what we're actually talking about today, and then it might lift my spirits if I start reciting some of the lines that we speak about.
Sadder or or angrier.
That's the life of being an Aberdeen fan, you know? Been it all my life, so I'm used to it by now. I wouldn't change my team, unlike some people.
Indeed.
No, not yourself, Greg, obviously.
No, I know.
Okay, right. Shall we have a look at the news?
Why don't we? Cue the jingle.
Hello, this is the Outer Hebrides Broadcasting Corporation, and here is what's been going on in the news.
Okay, Greg, have you seen anything this last week in Scotland that has caught your eye in the news?
I have. The first one that I've got, it just was in the news, let me see, the day of the record, yesterday. No, the 31st of July, yeah, so Sunday yesterday. The headline is, VAT scam student caught importing 40,000 cigarettes into Scotland in suitcases. The 27-year-old from London admitted his guilt over the £8,000 fraud at Paisley Sheriff Court. So if you ever wondered how much 40,000 cigarettes, I don't know if they mean that's how much he could have made or that's how much VAT that he was scamming the VAT man from. I'm not sure.
Okay. But
I will continue. A student was busted bringing more than 40,000 duty-free cigarettes into Scotland, despite the limit being just 200 smokes. Moshood Ademola Kasim, 27 years old, was found to have the Benson and Hedges Hall in 3 suitcases when he arrived at Glasgow Airport. The consignment, this is where the $8,000 comes from. The consignment was worth £8,000 in excise duty to the HMRC. The dad of 2 flew from Nigeria via Ethiopia to London Heathrow, but border officers stopped him when he landed north of the border. Kasim, who's studying for a degree in hospitality management, had around 14,000 cigarettes in one suitcase, around 15,000 in another, and approximately 13,000 in a third suitcase. I sense a bit of conjecture here on the part of the reporter who wrote this story. The officers asked Kasim, who incidentally works for a plumbing and joinery company, if he knew about customs allowances, and when he said no, they told him it was only 200 cigarettes. He told officers that he didn't have anything in his luggage, but they took him into a room to check his suitcases. When they asked if he had anything to declare, he said, "There might be cigarettes." Before officers found 3 different stashes among his bags. Kasim, who lives in Hackney in London, pled guilty to a charge under Section 1702 of the Customs and Excise Management Act 1979. The charge stated that he was knowingly concerned in the fraudulent evasion of duty chargeable on the cigarettes. He pleaded guilty to the charge after the value of the duty was reduced to £8,000 from £16,000. Sheriff Bruce Eroch continued Kasim's bail and said, "I need to call for a background report." So his sentence has been deferred until later this year. I mean, I don't know about you, I have gone over the 200 limit cigarette thing a few times on my return home on breaks from the Middle East. Not to the tune of 40,000, but you know, I have been known to stick a sleeve in each of my daughter's bags as well as like mine and my wife's. Because you can sell, even if you sell them for a £5 a packet, you're well ahead, you know what I mean, with Middle East prices.
I thought you were going to say, you know, because I'm taking them back for family members or friends, but you're openly admitting that you're selling them.
Well, sort of. I mean, I sell them to family and friends. And usually I take an order. Like, my brother-in-law he's still a keen smoker. And a few other people. My dad sometimes takes some to his work and flogs them for me. But I mean, like, 200 cigarettes in Kuwait would cost about 15 quid. And if you sell them for a £5 a packet, you're well ahead. You know what I mean? And it's like, and if you're a smoker in the UK, that's a great bargain. Because how much is 20 fags down in the UK? About 12 quid? Something like that?
I don't know. I think they must be. Yeah.
I think they
must be about that.
12 quid.
I have to admire the audacity of this gentleman. And I guess he must have been in a bit of a panic when they're asking him, do you have anything to declare? And he said, there might be some cigarettes. When he's got enough to stock a local branch of R.S. McCall's in his suitcase. And I guess it's the panic of, well, do you just admit it? They're going to find it anyway. Yeah. And why lie? But I guess he maybe just didn't want to admit that.
He was trying to commit fraud.
Well, yeah, that. Yeah. Have you ever been stopped by customs on any of your trips?
Not in the UK. I have been stopped because Kuwait, as I may have mentioned on the podcast before when I lived there, Kuwait is a dry country, so alcohol is not allowed. And if you have anything sort of bottle shaped, you have to get your luggage scanned, like you do in Dubai. You get your luggage scanned when you arrive in the country as well. When I've had sort of bottly shapes in my bag, I have been stopped, and I've had, luckily they haven't been alcohol, they've been like maybe toiletries or stuff like that. But what I used to do when I lived in Kuwait was I bought this thing called a camel pack, the thing that runners use, the sort of water bladder thing. So what I used to do is I would go to Bahrain, and in Bahrain airport, you can buy some booze at the duty free when you arrive, and it's quite well priced. So I would buy a couple of litres of vodka. When I got to my room, I would decant the vodka into the bladder, into the camel pack, nick a towel from the hotel, wrap the camel pack in my towel and put it in my hand luggage. And like every time I went through, I would lose like a few years off my life in fucking anxiety, because every time I did it, I was convinced that I was going to get caught. But I never did. And let me tell you something, a man who has 5 or 6 litres of vodka in Kuwait is a very rich man indeed.
And on the next episode of The Swally, we'll be discussing how to smuggle soft cheese into the Europe. Just giving all these tips.
Yeah. How to get unpasteurised cheese into the US next time.
I've only been stopped at customs once, and it was in Dubai, and I was on a trip back from the UK. And I don't know why, I wasn't thinking. I didn't have anything in my suitcase. I wasn't smuggling booze back because booze is plentiful there.
Yeah.
Wasn't smuggling cigarettes or anything. I definitely wasn't smuggling any drugs or anything like that. But I completely forgot that I think I'd left from Aberdeen and I was changing probably in Amsterdam or Paris at the time. And in Aberdeen Airport, I had bought a copy of Viz, and I know Viz was fine, but I bought a copy of Nuts magazine, or Zoo magazine, if you remember that.
I do.
And I'd read it in departures, and I must have stuck it in my rucksack, totally forgotten about it. And when they were pulling it out of my bag in Dubai Customs, the guy's eyes lit up, and it just so happened that the headline on that issue was Britain's Biggest Boobs Special. And he carefully perused every page of that magazine, looking at the biggest boobs in Britain, and just shook his head and said, "You can't take this in." I said, "It's okay, you keep it, it's fine." I totally forgot, I'm sorry. And he just smiled and nodded and put it down the side of his chair. So yeah, that was the only time I've been stopped by customs, and I did have what would be classified technically as pornography there.
Yeah.
So never again. And I don't think I ever bought Nuts magazine ever again. Went bust soon after. Probably that's why. And that wasn't a pun on it going bust. Sorry.
It's funny. I remember picking up. You're familiar with Joe Wicks? Is it like Fit in 15 or something like that? He's got
Lean in 15. We have all of his books.
Lean in 15. So you know how at the back...
They're all useless to us now that we're veggie. We only use the veggie one now.
You know how at the back of his books he has little testimonials by people who, and they've got like a kind of before and after pictures, people who have followed his programme. And they are in there, a pair of shorts. If it's a guy, it's like a pair of shorts, maybe boxer shorts. A woman's usually like sort of bra and shorts, or maybe like a sports bra and shorts. And they ported his books into Q8, and I was flicking through one at the back. Like somebody had coloured in with black marker the bodies of all the people that were, including the guys, all the people who were sort of saying how Joe's programme had worked for them.
See, that's the job you want if you're working in the Q8 or the Middle Eastern kind of censorship office. You want the job of drawing the black bra on to the slightly naked women.
I know. I wonder if any of them ever, just for a laugh, just draw like a wee tash on there or something. A wee cock doodle. A few petals of spunk coming off the end, just in the odd one, just to break up the monotony, Anyway, that was old. What's his name? Kasim. What's your first story this week?
Well, Greg, I have got just the thing for your garden. Because I know you've got quite a big garden, and I've found the perfect thing for it that's going to set you apart and show your pride of Scotland in there.
Okay.
An artist who has spent 10 months knitting a 10-foot unicorn now fears she'll have to bin it. Gilly Henderson, 55, admits she can't take her woolly horned creation known as, now I can't how do I pronounce this? A brinca?
Okay.
Would that make sense? Yeah, let's go with a brinca. She can't take take a brinker with her when she moves house. And there's a photo of Jilly looking quite happy, actually, next to a brinker, and it is indeed a 10-foot woolly unicorn. She's even considered a ceremonial burning of the model if no one adopts it. Sounds very Wicker Man-esque. We covered that on the Swally, available wherever you get your podcasts. But now Jilly, of our Broth, is giving the sparkly structure away for free after she and pals grafted 8-hour days to make it. She said of the unicorn, "It's our national animal, but no one seems to want a brinker. She is beautiful, so it would just be heartbreaking if we had to strip and dismantle her." Now, she's saying that, but she's considered fucking burning her. There's no chance anyone would have the time to spend rebuilding her, so we just end up chucking her in the bin. We even thought about setting her on fire as part of a big ceremony, but I couldn't do that. So Jilly had help creating this colourful creature from the Woolly Workers group, who knit special art installations. Try saying that after a couple of beers. The Woolly Workers group. Thankfully, I'm stone cold sober today. Its willow frame, covered in glittery yarn, has become a tourist attraction. There's fucking not a lot to do in Arbroath, is there? Go and get some smokies and then go and see this Woolly Workers creation, a brinker. But it's up for grabs after a bid to auction it off collapsed. Jilly said she's very popular with people on staycations. I think she could become a big selling point and help to put Arbroath on the map. Oh, Jesus, the Smokies have got some competition now. I think there's a big business opportunity there. Jilly said she'd love a brinker to stay local, but will consider any good home, which is why I'm recommending her to you, Greg. She's in talks with everyone, but no one so far wants her. So if you think you could rehome a brinker, then you can email. I'm not going to give out her email address. I mean, it's in the Scottish Sun this week, but I won't give it out. I'm sure she has been inundated with emails about her woolly unicorn, because she has put her personal email address and emails about how to join the Woolly Workers. So, Greg, what would you do with a 10-foot woolen unicorn?
Now, before, I think it was either just before or just after we started recording, and obviously you were keeping half an eye on the game, and you were going, a brinker, and I thought, is that somebody Aberdeen's just signed that I didn't hear about or something? I didn't realise that you were practising saying the unicorn's name.
Oh, because when I first read the article, I kind of skimmed it. I saw the name, and I was like, how do you pronounce that? I need to remember and practice that before recording. And then I kind of forgot. So as I was scanning, I was like, oh, fuck, is it a brinker? Oh, fuck it, I'll just wing it and say a brinker. So a brinker, 10-foot unicorn. I hope she's found a good home. I'm going to have to check on this and see if we need to do a follow-up and find out where a brinker's gone.
I mean, I guess there are some detractors that sort of outdoor installation that's made of wool, because obviously the climate in Scotland isn't going to be very kind to it, especially when it rains. You know what I mean? It's going to get smaller and smaller as it shrinks. Yeah,
I was going to say, if you get a tropical storm day, some summer days it rains and then it's hot sun, it'll shrink. Yeah. So 10 foot, I think she needs to check the measurements of a brinker, that she's still 10 feet.
And if I had it in my garden here in Dubai, it would just be full of ants in like a minute.
Yeah, just get
and dust
wrecked.
And ants and sand. So I don't think she's really thought it through. Maybe she needs to find like a sort of primary school with a massive high ceiling gym or something that can give. Maybe she just donates it to them or something like that.
That's a brilliant idea, actually. Yeah, and Arbroath School would love something like that. A big 10-foot unicorn that kids can clamber over. And it's glittery as well. So their parents will be fucking delighted when they get home and they're covered in glitter, won't they?
I have to laugh, right? And you sort of touched on it. So she wants to put Arbroath on the map. So you mentioned an Arbroath Smoky, which is Arbroath's very famous contribution to the Scottish culinary scene. But then you've also got the fucking Declaration of Arbroath, which is one of the most important Scottish historical events. You know what I mean? I think Arbroath's well and truly on the map already. I don't think it needs a 10-foot woolly unicorn to put it on the map.
I would say that's very true, actually. I mean, I almost feel ashamed that my first thought is to go with the Smoky.
No, the Smoky is the thing that springs to mind when you think about Arbroath, first of all. Definitely. Have you had the Arbroath Smoky?
I believe I have. Yeah, many years ago. But lovely.
Lovely, yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah, really good. And you said that she's put her personal email address in the Scottish Sun.
Yes, she has. Yeah, she's put that out there for everyone to get in touch with her, and if they want to join the Woolly Wanderers.
Send pictures of their own sort of unicorn horns to her. I'm sure she'll be getting a few of them.
That's disgusting. Moving on. There's no need for that on the Swally. We don't condone that. Please, we didn't read out your email address, so
exactly.
You
can't blame it on any of our listeners.
No.
Unless they go to the Scottish Sun and find your email address.
And I mean, if you just go to Google and search for Arbroath 10-foot unicorn, yeah, I gave out our full name actually, so yeah, I'm not bleeping that out. Okay, Greg, what's your second story this week, or on the Swally?
Well, my second story also concerns a sort of art installation, garden erection. It comes from the Scottish Sun, although it wasn't only in the Scottish Sun, this story. The headline is, Games Up, Glasgow Commonwealth Games mascot found in football thug's garden after being missing for 7 years as cops swoop. It comes from the Scottish Sun on the 24th of July. I'm not sure the cops are exactly swooping 7 years after it's gone missing. So cops swooped on a notorious football lout's back garden. It's been demoted from thug to lout from the headline to the byline, and seized a stolen Glasgow Commonwealth Games mascot that's been missing for 7 years. Officers bundled the 5-foot thistle known as Clyde into a van at the home of police horse punch yob Kevin Maguire, 38, in Drumchapel, Glasgow. The Sun on Sunday tipped off the police that the missing Clyde, swiped from a plinth near Ibrox in Glasgow in 2014, was in footy thug Maguire's garden. Officers swooped on his pad after we alerted them to photos on Twitter which showed the missing model in the background. They seized the fiberglass statue, one of 25 commissioned when Glasgow hosted the sports tournament in 2014, and took it to a nearby police station. It was later driven to the council's city chambers where Lord Provost Philip Bratt gave it the once-over before returning it to the cop shop they held as evidence. That's a bit weird, isn't it?
Was it to check if it was genuine, maybe?
Oh, maybe. Councillor Bratt said, after the bizarre raid on the Celtic fans' pad, the theft was an affront to the people of Glasgow. Celtic fan Maguire, who was hit with a footy ban and did jail time for punching police horses, more than one,
Jesus,
for fuck's sake, denied knowledge of the mascot. When he was asked how it ended up in his garden, he grabbed a mop in a fury and tried to whack a reporter with it. The thug raged, "It's nonsense. I don't know anything about it. Nothing. It's a surprise." Cops raided Maguire's garden in the city's Drumchapel on Friday afternoon. They spoke with local residents before loading Clyde into their van. We had flagged the figure's location to authorities after being made aware of the snaps on the Twitter profile of Govan Emerald Celtic Supporters Club last week. Photos showed Maguire drinking a beer in the sun and two people in a pool, must be like a paddling pool, beside the statue, which has the distinctive motif of the Finiston crane on its t-shirt. Sharing the images with his followers, he wrote, "I am a greedy cunt," alongside smiley faces. We then traced Maguire to a housing estate where Clyde's green skin and purple hair were visible through a garden fence before notifying the police. An appeal for info had been launched when the figure, which was designed by schoolgirls Beth Gilmore and Saskia Alexander, first vanished. The remaining 24 across the city were then removed by officers over fears that they might also be stolen following attacks by vandals, but many were earmarked for display at public buildings, including a replacement for the stolen Clyde. The mascots have been a massive hit with the game's visitors and athletes, such as Jamaican sprint champion Usain Bolt. It's understood no one has been arrested or charged in connection with the sculpture find, but police inquiries are still ongoing.
So he's been chilling out in this guy's garden for 7
years. Yeah.
Now, surely his neighbours must have seen it, and I mean, I guess snitches get stitches, but you would think someone would have dobbed him in and claimed a reward or something, but it's basically his audacity of putting a bragging picture on Instagram that someone has spotted this.
Yeah. I'm a greedy cunt with my backyard pool and my Commonwealth Games mascot. He got a 5-year football stadium ban from every stadium in the UK and a 10-month jail sentence in February last year for thumping 3 police horses outside Parkhead.
That's incredible. It's not incredible, but you know what I mean. To be able to punch 3 horses.
They let him go in May 2020 because they were trying to halt the spread of COVID in prisons. Surely keeping them all in is how, you know what I mean? It's surely they should be trying to halt the spread of COVID in the free world as opposed to in prisons.
Well, I'd imagine he's probably going to end up back in, won't he? Because that'll be a breach of probation and stuff.
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. Is there a sort of if he stole it? it 7 years ago and he's just been caught now, can he still get in trouble for it? He could just deny it's there. I don't know.
Of course he can. Yeah, of course he can. I mean, he could say he found it there. I mean, if he does get off and he is missing, if there's like a space where that statue used to sit in his garden and the grass has gone a bit brown, you know, the way that happens?
Yeah.
If he's looking for something to cover it, I know someone that's trying to get rid of a 10-foot unicorn.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
And that would look good. And that would look good next to the paddling pool. Mm-hmm. And he could be a greedy cunt and pretend he's riding a unicorn. But like My Little Pony.
Pretend he's Anchorman in that dream sequence, isn't it? I mean, I like the idea of, well, instead of punching a police horse, he's got a woolly unicorn that he can punch all he likes.
Now, I wonder if, as part of the punishment, he's maybe not allowed within a distance of horses. But I mean, technically, a unicorn's fine, isn't it? It's a fictional animal. So
I know. I mean,
you could argue that.
I like the idea of them him getting arrested, taken to the nearest police station at Drumchapel and saying, right, listen, we can't prove that you stole this. They don't think you're going to walk away, right? And they take him into the stables and there's like 10 massive police horses going, right, you cunt. The police horses just set about him and knock fuck out him. This is for Dobbin. This is for PC Dobbin. Yeah, hold that, you cunt.
Well, before I delve into my second news story, quick update. It's 2-0 Aberdeen. Yeah, beauty. Ramirez, fantastic. Okay, so my second news story of this week comes from the Scottish Sun as well. And, you know, in Scotland, we're a very welcoming nation. We love to welcome tourists, and especially, even tourists from south of the border as well. And sometimes we like having the tourists so much that we want to keep them. So this was, as I say, from the Scottish Sun this week, and tourists' cries for help spark 999 call-out answer after council staff lock him in Ayrshire public toilets for hours. A tourist sparked a 999 call-out after he was locked for hours inside a public toilet. Police and fire crews were alerted after the Englishman's cries for help were heard in the street. Rescuers were set to smash the loose doors in with an axe before a council worker arrived with the keys in Largs, Ayrshire. Local councillor Ian Murdoch demanded a probe as it emerged staff have made similar blunders in the past. The member said, we can't have people coming to Largs and getting locked inside public toilets. Thankfully the chap was okay, but he was in there for a considerable time. I know of at least one other occasion where a lady got locked inside the toilet block. Cops confirmed they were called out at 8:25 p.m. on Friday, and fire teams also attended an hour later. This council worker believed the toilets were empty, so locked the door. We're very sorry for any stress or discomfort the man suffered. It said he was in there for hours, so I want to know. Now, 8:25 p.m. they were called out. Council worker, public toilets. It's next to a cafe. I've got to reckon he's been locked in there since about 6 p.m.
Yeah, for sure.
Maybe 5:30 p.m. because it's a Friday. Yeah. The council worker's wanting to go home.
Yeah,
so he's
been
locked in there for a good. Yeah. So he's been locked in there for, and the police were called out at 8:25. Didn't say what time they arrived, and it's a Friday night. Fire teams attend an hour later. This poor lad could have been in there for about 5-6 hours, and it's not the first time it's happened. That's the thing. This sounds like it's a regular occurrence. So if you're going to spend a penny in Largs, Ayrshire, you're best to go to a pub or something and do it there rather than go to a public toilet, because you could end up being locked in there for quite some time.
I thought it was going to be, when you started telling that story, I thought, do you remember, I don't know if, they do have them they did have them in Aberdeen. If you remember, about halfway down George Street, you used to get, and they might still be there, these sort of futuristic toilets that you put like sort of 10 pence in or something and the door slid. You know what I mean? And they played a bit of music and everything. And do you remember, it's sort of space age for the 1980s sort of toilet.
There was an evening, Greg, that you'd been, I believe you, myself, our mutual friend, who we often refer to on the podcast, and another mutual friend who we will call Prince Charming. We had quite a wild night out, I believe, and we all ended up back at our mutual friend's flat.
Which was also my flat at the time. We were sharing.
It was indeed, yes. We went back to there and we stayed up quite a while, and you and the mutual friend went to bed, not together, in your separate rooms. And myself and Prince Charming were left up, and we were very awake at the time, and it was approaching about 6 o'clock, and we decided, let's go to the schooner for a couple of pints. So we made our way down George Street and we stopped at that toilet, and I think we were there for about half an hour because we kept going in and pressing the button, and as the doors opened, take it in turns to go, hello, Commander Riker, or hello, Captain Picard. And I'll tell you, at 6:30 in the morning, after you've been up for nearly 24 hours, and a lot of alcohol and maybe other things had been consumed, this was the funniest thing in the world.
I remember.
And then we went off to the schooner for a couple of pints. Yeah, those toilets were great.
I remember that night, and see, to be honest, I probably should have come to the schooner for a couple of pints because I ended up not going to sleep, so tossing and turning in bed, and then phoning in sick to work. I wasn't supposed to start until 12 o'clock, and I phoned up at 8 o'clock in the morning and said, I'm not well, I'm not coming in.
At least you gave them plenty of warning to get some cover for you. So
well, absolutely.
I think you did the right thing there.
I wasn't as responsible in those days as I am now.
Well, I think that covers the news this week.
It does. Yep, it does. It's quite a good news week. Bit of a change from the usual pandemic apocalypse that we've been having to sift through to try and find the little pearls over the last year and a half.
Well, before we go into our review and what we're going to be talking about this week, let's have a little word from our sponsors.
On holidays to Inverness, getting there this way is best. City linking. North to south, east to west, get on the coach. You'll be impressed. City linking. City linking. Smart thinking.
Okay, Greg. Well, so it was your choice this week, and what a belter you've picked for us. Why don't you introduce what we're going to be talking about today?
Okay, well, I sort of teed it up in the last episode by relating it, if you like, to the upcoming third season of Succession, which is scheduled to be out, I think, around October time. Obviously starring one of our favourite actors, perhaps maybe our favourite Scottish actor, Brian Cox. So we've not had a lot of Brian. We've had little tasters of Brian over the last few episodes. I've had a little smattering of him in Braveheart, a little taster of him in A Shot at Glory. But I thought it was time we had a Brian Cox starring vehicle. So I chose the BBC sitcom created by Neil Forsyth, shown in 2013 on BBC 4, Bob Servant Independent, but also the sort of second series, which is only 3 episodes, which was just called Bob Servant. Let me give you the synopsis. The show is set in Broughty Ferry, which is a very nice suburb of Dundee. It follows Bob Servant, local businessman and cheeseburger van tycoon, as he launches an somewhat eccentric campaign managed by his hapless right-hand man Frank, played by Jonathan Watson, to become the independent Member of Parliament for Broughty Ferry. So I know you've been looking forward, I think maybe since we even started doing this, Swally, I know you've been looking forward to doing Bob Servant, Nicky. So why don't you tell us how you came across this one?
I watched this not long after it had went out. I mean, I was living in Dubai at the time, but I think being homesick, I was going through a big stage of Scottish comedy. So this was around about the time like Burniston was on, Limmy's show. I think Gary Tank Commander was on about this time as well. So I was consuming quite a lot of Scottish comedy. And you know when you get on a run of things and you just want more. And then I'd heard about this show, Bob Servant. And I was like, Brian Cox is in it, Jonathan Watson. I'll give it a try. And as soon as I put on the first episode, and just the opening, and it's the seriousness of the tone of the I'm not a punter. And when he says about your Mahatma Gandhis, your Obamas, and your Burt Reynolds, straight away, I'm like, okay, this sounds good. And then when he follows it up with that carving with all the president's penises, okay, this is my kind of comedy. And yeah, I watched the whole of the first series pretty much in I think a day and just absolutely loved it. It took me a while to watch the second series,
right?
Because I think it wasn't as well publicised and I'd kind of forgotten it came out. Yeah. But that was my first kind of inkling of Bob. And as I say, I just absolutely adored it. I did download the books that it's based on, but for some reason I've never got round to reading them, and I did want to read at least the first one for this episode, but time got away with me and I didn't get a chance, unfortunately. But I genuinely, I think I've only watched this series once, but it did stick with me in my mind of how much I loved it. So it was a joy to watch this again. And just watching the first episode, I genuinely was crying with laughter at some of the parts. It's just such an introduction. It's so good. So what about yourself? When did you first come across Bob Servant?
I saw it when it came out on BBC Four, and it was like for listeners who maybe don't live in the UK, BBC 3 and 4 were the sort of digital BBC channels. So you got BBC One, BBC Two, which at that time where you could access. I don't think the UK had quite gone full digital television by that point. Probably mostly. And BBC 3 and BBC 4. BBC 3 is more of a sort of youth kind of not kids, but sort of young person's channel. The BBC 4 is
it was the channel that like 2 pints of lager and a packet of crisps used to be on. That kind of
I think Gavin and Stacey started on BBC 3 as well before they brought on BBC 2. But BBC 4 is generally a bit more sort of highbrow. BBC 4 was always brilliant on a Friday night for getting kind of musical documentaries, like classic albums and stuff like that, or maybe like a sort of Mark Kermode documentary. Mark Gatiss did a good documentary series for BBC 4 all about horror films, which you can see on YouTube if you haven't seen it. It's well worth a watch. So I had seen Bob Servant advertised on there, and I was thinking, that's a bit of a unusual one for BBC 4, because I don't know, I mean they may well have done. I've not watched BBC 4 for like 6 years since I moved away, but I can't think of any other sitcoms that they did before Bob Servant. They maybe showed a couple of episodes of classic sitcoms that maybe they don't come out very much, you know what I mean, these days, but to have like something which feels like it was made for BBC 4 was a bit unusual. So I think I watched it out for 2 reasons. One, because Brian Cox was in it, and 2, out of curiosity, because I thought it would be a sort of comedy drama. And then to your point, that first episode, and it's not even just the first episode, almost every episode, I found watching it back this time, I had to kind of go back because there are so many one-liners, especially from Bob Servant, but like later on also from Frank as well, with Jonathan Watson and some of the other characters that are in there. And it's just, I mean, I've noted down some of my favourite ones, and maybe we can do them towards the end. But it's just, this is like astonishing. Just not what I expected for BBC 4, but also for Brian Cox. I knew him from like Manhunter and Braveheart and like Rise of the Planet of the Apes, like fucking like so many films I can't even begin to remember what they all are. And here he is playing a character unlike any other character I've ever seen him play. Because when he's in movies, Brian Cox, he's a dramatic actor generally. I can't think of a comedy. I'm sure he probably has done a comedy film, but I've not seen it and I can't think of it. But he's playing such an eccentric sort of character. It's just absolutely bizarre, but brilliantly funny.
To go back to your BBC 4 thought, and I agree, it was so strange that this went out on BBC 4, especially at the time, because, as I say, you had things like, I think Still Game was on like hiatus at this time.
Yeah, I guess so, yeah.
During its break. But you had things like, as I say, Burniston and Limmy's Show and Gary Tank Commander. They were all on BBC 1 or 2. And I think Gary Tank Commander maybe started on 3. I can only assume that whoever is in charge of picking which channel this goes on got the synopsis, and it was just a show starring Brian Cox, and it's about a local independent election, has thought, well, this is politics, this is highbrow because it's Brian Cox, this is BBC 4. Yeah. And I do wonder if there was a little bit of a mistake there, or if it was just some sort of, this will appeal to the BBC 4 audience.
Yeah, let's try a bit of comedy.
As you say about Brian Cox, he is used to, seeing him in serious roles and being a big kind of dramatic actor. His comedy timing in this is phenomenal. His delivery of one-liners is just absolutely astonishing. He is a comedy genius. And you couldn't wish to have, in terms of Scottish comedy, I think, a better partner than Jonathan Watson to bounce off of. And the two of them as a dynamic partnership is absolutely phenomenal. It's just, you just have to look at some of their facial expressions and interactions. And I'm crying thinking about some of the things that they do together. They're just so good. Yeah. Do you know the story behind Brian Cox actually being cast in the role?
I know a bit about it. I know that he did it for Radio Scotland to begin with. I think there was a show called the Bob Servant Emails, right? But I'm not sure how they came to how they came to find Brian Cox for the role?
It was effectively Neil Forsyth who wrote the book.
Yeah.
And he'd written this book, and it started off, he was bored one day, and he actually genuinely started replying to like the scam emails you got from Nigerian princes and things.
Yeah.
And he would send these lengthy emails as his character he created, Bob Servant. So he collected them and put them in a book, published the book. Book didn't do very well. And then all of a sudden, Irvin Welsh picked it as one of his funniest books in this kind of Observer, what's your top 10 books of the last couple of years. And then it gained a bit of traction. Then he got a call from the BBC saying, would like to make this into a radio or sitcom. Would you be interested? And of course, like, yeah, of course I'll be interested. Who would you like to play Bob? He said, well, Brian Cox. And instantly they were like, nah. Got stuck in limbo for a bit. And Neil Forsyth was in New York, and he's a big Dundee United fan. And he was in this pub in New York watching a Dundee United against Rangers game. And there was only one other Dundee United fan in the bar. So they struck up a conversation. And he asked him what he did, and Neil explained and says, yeah, it's got this thing, kind of stuck in limbo. And the guy says, oh, who would you want to play Bob? He says, well, Brian Cox would be my dream. And the guy turned around to him and went, yeah, I know Brian, he's my mate. And that was it. He got in touch with him, and then Brian read the book and had phoned up Neil and said, yeah, Bob reminds me of my late brother Charlie. And I'll do it. So he flew in, did the radio shows, and then it got commissioned for 3 parts TV series. So came back, they filmed the 3 parts. Then it got commissioned for another 3. So then they filmed the other 3. And you can tell in the first series, the first 3 episodes and the second 3 are a little bit different. And that's because they were filmed months apart and written. The first 3 were completed before the second 3 were even written. And then, of course, they did the second 3 for the second series. But yeah, that's how Brian Cox came to become Bob Servant.
Yeah, that's a great story. I mean, I think, because, I think I heard also that he had expressed a bit of an interest in doing something. Because Brian Cox, like you mentioned earlier, he's from Dundee, he's from that neck of the woods, and most of his career, because I listened to an interview with him. He's been interviewed by David Tennant on David Tennant's sort of occasional podcast that I guess he does it between acting roles. And David Tennant's quite well connected, it seems, and people are quite happy to talk to him, you know. So he had Brian Cox on, and he was talking about his career, and he went off to drama school in London. I think he went to the Royal Academy in London. Quite young. You know, he joined the Royal Shakespeare Company. I think he acted alongside guys like John Peelgood and Laurence Olivier and stuff like that. So and then obviously he's gone to America, to Hollywood, etc. So I don't think, apart from sort of Braveheart, which it's a brilliant role, but it's kind of fleeting appearance, if you like. I think he's only in the film for about 15-20 minutes. He's ever done anything in Scotland that's like sort of quintessentially Scottish. I can't really think apart from Bob Servant.
Shot at Glory.
Well, I suppose, yeah. Shot at Glory.
Manager of Rangers FC. Surely it's quintessentially Scottish.
The old Rangers.
No, I would agree with you. Looking through his kind of career, because it is something, when I'm looking for things to do for the Swally, you think, let's do something that Brian Cox has done. Yeah. And when you look through his career, you're like, oh wow, there's not a lot I can really pick from this.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure, I think, you know, he did, I think there's some of the massive roles. I mean, obviously his stock is incredibly high at the moment with Succession, which has been like fantastically successful. And, you know, there's a lot of great actors and brilliant performances in Succession. But Brian Cox, I mean, and he's almost not even in Succession as much as some of the rest of the cast, you know, like Kieran Culkin and the guy who plays Kendall and all that. But when he's in the episodes where he is predominantly part of it, he just totally steals the show from all these young actors, you know.
And again, is there ever a better delivery of fuck off than Logan Roy delivering fuck off? It's incredible. And it's true, our mutual friend was watching Succession at our recommendation.
Yeah, I think he's given up on it.
Not to give any spoilers. Yeah, of course he has. Yeah. And it's a shame because, and it's as he said, I'm on episode 3, does it get better? And I'm kind of thinking, I forget, I genuinely love the whole cast of Succession. I love Kendall's story. I love, as you said, Kieran Culkin's elements. I absolutely love Greg and Tom as a double act.
I mean,
the whole cast, phenomenal. Yeah. But you're right. And I did say, I had to kind of check the synopsis, and I was like, oh yeah, Logan's kind of missing for episodes 2 and 3, technically. It's not until 4 he comes back in a big way, and the show kind of kicks into gear.
Yeah.
And that is because of Brian Cox, because he's there, and he just commands so much presence, and he's just a phenomenal actor. Mm-hmm. And I would agree to your point, is he our favourite Scottish actor? I kind of sway between him and Peter Mullen.
Yeah.
Both very different careers, but both phenomenal actors.
I mean, Peter Mullen's sort of cutting his way through Hollywood a wee bit now, isn't he? He just did, what's the one, Jason Bateman, set in the one on Netflix. Ozark, that's it, yeah. It plays a very good part in it. But but I think especially in season 2 of Succession, and obviously it's got the classic episode where Logan Roy comes back to Dundee to the family home and open the arc. Is it he goes to open the museum or open like a exhibition in the museum and all that kind of thing? And he's just such a good actor. And if I think about like the range of stuff that he's done, he's done like the X-Men, probably the best X-Men film, the second one, where he plays Riker, the baddie general, that's kind of rounding up all the mutants. Absolutely phenomenal. Personally speaking, in my opinion, better than Anthony Hopkins at Hannibal Lecter. He's I think we mentioned it in the podcast before. He becomes a bit kind of pantomimey. Even I watched Silence of the Lambs recently. I hadn't seen it for a long time, and even his performance in Silence. I mean, it's a great performance, but it's a wee bit kind of woo, bit kind of pantomime sort of villain. Whereas in Manhunter, it's just fucking. I mean, Brian Cox is just he plays it very straight. But there's something really sinister about the way he plays Hannibal Lecter. You know what I mean? You could imagine him just sort of turning without warning. You know what I mean? Putting you at ease until you get close and then fucking biting your face off.
So, to go back to Bob Servant, and we can link it in with Succession to do the little thing. This is almost like if Logan Roy had had like a sliding doors moment, when he was maybe 16. Maybe there'd been an incident with a bit of skirt. And there'd been some sort of parallel universe that Logan Roy ends up becoming a cheeseburger mogul in Broughty Ferry and is, would you say, his kind of life partner in a way, Frank? So, to talk about the cast, I think we've covered Brian Cox. Jonathan Watson as Frank is just an incredible actor. It's amazing. Jonathan Watson just seems to not really age. He looks very different in this role as Frank. But then, of course, now when you see him in Two Doors Down, he looks a bit younger than he did playing Frank, but I bet he's meant to be kind of mousy and little. But he is really a phenomenal Scottish talent when you think of his career and what he's been in over the years. I know he's associated a lot with Only an Excuse, and that has been a fantastic run, but he's done some great shows as well.
Yeah. Two Doors Down especially. I mean, his character in Two Doors Down has got a wee... You detect a little bit of Bob Servant DNA in his character, just for he's always got to be a wee bit better than he's always he's got to have the best thing, and like Bob with his extension, you know what I mean, his fancy jacket, and there's a tiny bit, not enough for it to because his character in Two Doors Down is very much his, it's very much his own character. But you're right. I mean, the first time I saw Jonathan Watson was on Naked Video, and obviously we did Naked Video a few months ago, still available on their podcast directories, everyone. And so that was like 1986, I think, that first series Naked Video. And you're right, he still looks much the same. You're like, for a redhead who seems to have spent most of his career filming in Scotland, he's aged remarkably well.
As we mentioned, their dynamic together is fantastic, and we'll come to that. But to keep on the cast, what impressed me so much watching it this time was the amount of one-off appearances you have from people in pretty small roles. And you have to think they've probably only got involved because they're like, well, Brian Cox is doing this, and Jonathan Watson, he must be able to pull some strings as well. So you have the likes of, Siobhan Redmond turning up for like a 2-minute scene, Shirley Henderson in an episode, Sanjeev Kohli in just a couple of scenes, Ron Donachie in like 2 tiny little scenes as well, Sheila Reid playing Bob's mother, Derek Riddle is the priest, and of course we'll come on to Big Hendo later on, but a massive amount of Scottish talent just playing tiny little roles in this, in one episode for a lot of them. And of course, it must be like, do you want to do half a day's filming with Brian Cox? Yeah, I'll do that.
Yeah, sure. I could find time. I'm sure River City will let me off for an afternoon to come up to Broughty Ferry.
What have I got to do? Well, Brian Cox is just going to sit and say a few lines to you, basically asking you for like a magic potion to make my eyes glint. And, well, I mean, it's Frank that asked for that potion to Siobhan Redmond. But and then, of course, in the first series particularly, you have Pollyanna McIntosh. Playing Philippa Edwards.
Her size queen from the Philippa. Yeah.
Indeed, yeah, the size queen, playing a very different role than she was in the last episode.
Well, I only just realised watching Bob's Servant, but she's in, is it 2 or 3 seasons of The Living Dead? The Walking Dead, isn't she? She plays the guys that, I don't remember what they're called, but the guys that live in the scrapyard.
I can't remember. Is that the Whisperers or
something like that?
No, the Whisperers or others. I can't remember what they are, but
I mean, there's a lot of reasons why this sort of sticks with you. Not least all the reasons we've mentioned, but I think the fact that, you know, it's all shot in location around Dundee and Broughty Ferry. It's all apart from Rufus Jones, all Scottish actors playing really recognisable sort of characters. I mean, when I lived in Aberdeenshire, before I left home, we lived in a little village about 25-30 miles outside Aberdeen. And, I went to school there. I worked around there for a bit until I moved into Aberdeen itself, worked in a local pub and stuff. And again, it's testament to Brian Cox's performance, but you do meet people a bit like Bob Servant. I mean, the character Bob Servant he's very much an exaggerated version of those types of characters. But, you know, you spend like an afternoon in an Aberdeen city centre pub, like somewhere like the Prince of Wales or something, and you'll overhear people, sort of blowhard kind of people talking about themselves and stuff, or their opinions on things, and they've all got a wee bit of Bob Servant. As much as he's a hilarious character, there's a lot of believability in there as well.
Oh, completely. He is very believable. I've thought about that. Everyone knows someone like Bob Servant. We've all met them. I'm working in Hazelhead Golf Club when I was younger. I've met a lot of Bob Servants. Yeah. He's almost like a toned down version of the big man from Chewing the Fat. You know, not quite the... Is it the big... No, not the big man.
The guy in the golf club.
That
refers to himself in the third person all the time. Yeah.
Big Jock.
Big Jock.
Big Jock. He's almost like a very toned down version of Big Jock in a way. The thing about Bob is he's a wonderful character. Yeah. He's got brilliant one-liners. And at the very end, he redeems himself in a way. But up until then, he's not a very likeable character. I mean, that's the thing. It's a weird thing. He is a likeable character, but he's not. He's not a nice character.
I think there's something more in the first series. There's something more there's something more attractive about him in the first series because he's trying to be a member of Parliament. He clearly has no idea what being a member of Parliament involves. He thinks he's going to essentially be the ruler of Broughty Ferry. You know, that's like when he tells the policeman he's going to have to arrest himself and all that kind of thing. You know, he's got no idea. Probably a bit of a character in Broughty Ferry, but maybe not quite as renowned as he thinks he is. And he likes the idea of maybe doing something for the community, maybe a wee bit, but it's more the self-promotion part of it. And you think he can do a better job than all these daft English MPs, you know?
I think it is very much because in episode 6, Election Day, when he thinks he's going to win and he's speaking to the priest and about renting out his extension, and he does say, "I'm going to be minted." You know, it's brown envelopes, white envelopes. Oh, is that your handbag? Oh no, it's not my handbag. Frank can take the handbag. He's in it for the money and the fame. He's not in it. He's got no policies apart from free wellies and a direct train to Ireland. He's got nothing. He's in it for the fame. You do get a glimpse of it in the debate when he delivers the famous Braveheart speech. That he does, he's fed up of England coming and doing stuff and telling us what to do.
When to go to the toilet.
He's in it. But he's in it for the fame and the money, without a doubt, and the skirt.
Yeah, the skirt, yeah.
He's, as you say, it's full of recognisable characters. I mean, I'm not going to go through each episode one by one, but a particular standout for me is Greg McHugh as Anders in the afternoon. Typical local radio DJ. And that radio show Meltdown about the dog mess in Dawson Park is just absolutely brilliant. The way Bob just keeps losing it. And, the phone calls about the parking tickets, rip it up, I'll throw in a blue badge.
He keeps flipping back and forth, like, whatever the caller's annoyed about what he said, he just immediately U-turns, I mean, I was thinking ahead to the podcast earlier today, I was sort of getting my notes together, I was thinking, this podcast could literally be maybe 2.5 hours long, but like an hour and a half of it is just one-liners of Bob's that we've got into the podcast.
I almost started wanting to put them into categories of Bob's misremembers in terms of things he's remembered from the past, like famous events, but got them slightly wrong. Bob comparing disasters to something, and then of course just literally his one-liners that he comes out with. So yeah. I totally agree. It could have just been a complete episode of doing stuff like that. I mean, what are some of your favourites of those that he ends up coming out with?
Right, so I've got How Local. I thought that was funny. You were locked in the cupboard for 2 minutes. You're hardly Terry Waite. I've got Dare I Say Measles. When he's asking Shirley Henderson how her husband died.
She slipped away.
Yeah, it's got thinks he's the new Lenny Henry. It's fucking. I prefer ITV2 +1.
It's the People's Channel.
Yeah, I mean, the EU have done some good things. They made Bucks Fizz rip off their skirts. Lesbians, urban myth. And then I think my absolute favourite, I don't care if you're talking to Burt Reynolds about long division. You have a few favourites?
I do. I mean, I'm going to save my 2 favourites for the end of the podcast, towards the end. But I do love the way he turns disasters or events into things. So he does particularly say, I think after his radio visit, he does say that was a complete Hiroshima. Yeah. And he then he does, before the debate, when he said this is going to make Vietnam look like Crufts. And there's another event when he does say it was a complete Chernobyl. Yes. I also like when he misremembers kind of famous fables or things that happened. So it's about the time that the miners in Chile got stuck in a cupboard, and about the wee boy in Holland got his penis stuck in a dam.
Yeah. There's 2 other ones that I wrote down. When he goes to the Tory MP's campaign headquarters and they've got the big photocopiers, and he says he didn't have photocopiers like that in Nuremberg, and then Frank goes, thank God for that. And I think my absolute favourite, to your point, things that he misremembers is the Willy Wonka golden underpants. Analogy that I cannot do it justice, so maybe we can cut it in at some point.
You know, Frank, the Provost dinner, it's not something I've ever fancied going to.
Well, you've never been invited.
Well, that's because they probably think I turned it down, and I usually would. But, you see, this year, Frank, I need in. I need in, because she is like Willy Wonka. She looks at the people of Broughty Ferry, and then she picks one. And once you're picked, that's you. Life will never be the same again. Just like Willy Wonka in the film. He looked at the people, he picked that young boy, and then Wonka took that lovely young boy and put him in golden underpants. And then Wonka led that boy by the hand and walked off into the disco.
No.
Well, you know, Frank,
no,
you know what?
No, that's not what happens in the film, Bob.
I'm going to the disco!
To go back to the photocopiers element, it sets it out quite well, and that's what I love is of course that's in episode 2, but it's the all the local references that they dip in. And when he's speaking about the photocopiers, he says, I've seen bigger. And the guy says, where? In Arbroath. And when he's speaking to Sanjeev Kohli about getting a new leather jacket or putting out the whispers for some skirt. Yeah. And to go back to skirt, that is probably one of my favourite moments when Frank says we need to get a woman. Yeah. And he just opens the filing cabinet and he has a folder called skirt. Not to be sexist, Bob's servant's words in his folder, not ours.
Yeah.
And he does say how far you want him to go, and he's very much like, Brecon, maybe, Montrose, or both? No, that's too far. Unless you can drive. Yeah. But there's constant mentions to things like that, and just little off-the-cuff moments. Yeah. And as we say, him and Jonathan Watson are phenomenal, but the supporting cast that are there occasionally are so good, like Stu Pott, the barman. There's some great banter between them when they're in the pub. And just the interaction that they all have, and that shows the disdain that people basically have for Bob. But
yeah,
I think they think Frank's an alright guy.
Yeah, the opening sequence in the first series, I think the very first shot of Bob is them banging on the barber's window and saying hello to the guy, and they're just looking at him with bewilderment through the glass.
Now, I wondered if that, because that's actually the second shot you see of Bob. The first shot is the one that cracks me up every episode, and he's on a little springy horse rocking back and forth while Frank's taking notes. And then when he bangs on the window, it sounds like he says, "Hiya, Georgie!"
Yeah, it does.
Like, is that a reference to It? Bob's like this killer clown in Broughty Ferry, kind of going around murdering people. Now, I want to ask about Frank for a little bit. Now, in the first 3 episodes, and as I say, the first 3 episodes were filmed, and then the second 3 episodes were written and then filmed, and then the third 3 kind of episodes. So in the first 3 episodes, Frank's quite kind of nondescript, a little bit, odd.
Yeah,
but,
quiet.
Meek.
Yeah.
In the second 3 episodes, I think it's heavily implied that Frank's gay.
Right, okay.
Because there are, just in episodes 4, 5, and 6. In episode 4, that's the episode with Colin the cameraman. Frank seems very enamored with, and he kees asking about him, and he does say, have you met Colin? Oh, he's a lovely guy. And then at the end, he phones him up and asks him if he wants to go to Alton Towers because there's a voucher. Broughty Ferry. There is a reference, episode 5 in the debate, just before the debate when they go to the gym, because Bob decides he needs to lose an inch or 2 off his waist in 45 minutes, but they have to have time for their tea. There's a guy working out, and Frank does go, "Oh, look at his muscles." And he does make a reference to Nick being very dishy as well. And I just wonder if it's quite kind of implied in those 3 episodes that Frank might be gay. And that's what I wondered when they were leading up to in the second series, when it does kind of come out. Frank's trying to tell Bob something for the first, 7 minutes or so. Like, when you're talking about the woman in the skirt, I need to tell you something. And I thought, Frank's going to say he's gay.
Yeah.
So I was quite surprised when he said that he had a girlfriend, and it was Dorothy, his swimming instructor, that he'd mentioned a lot of times in series 1.
I don't know. I never. I don't know. I didn't get that. I thought he was maybe just trying to make more friends. The whole episode with Colin the cameraman. I thought, obviously Bob's in the second series we learn a bit more about the history of Frank and Bob's relationship. It turns out it goes right back to when they were kids, and Bob's dad's emigrated to Dunfermline with another woman. Bob's had to go and live with Frank.
Quite unclear in one episode. They mention a few times that your brother, and he does say he's not my brother, but then they reference again his brother. It's quite, they kind of confuse things a little bit, but it's obviously clear it's not his brother, because when they go to visit his mum, she does clearly say, you've got your best pal Francis. So
and
it's obviously not.
His mum loves Frank as well. She really likes him, doesn't she? Yeah. I mean, like you said earlier, he's sort of perfectly cast, Jonathan Watson, because he's a good bit shorter than Brian Cox, which I think the character needs to be. He's brilliant at playing, because he's not sort of sycophantic with Bob. He just thinks that everything that Bob does and says is brilliant. It's like he's sort of permanently impressed by Bob, by his walk, for example, you know what I mean? And his jumpers and all that kind of thing. And his reactions to stuff, when the camera just cuts to him. Like, I think in the second series, when Bob's he's making amends by doing his wee speech in the church for treating Frank so poorly when he found out that he's going to get married. And he talks about how, like when Frank was young, all they had was like a pair of cardboard underpants that he made himself. And the camera sort of cuts to Jonathan Watson, and he's sort of shaking his head, but then he sort of looks off to the side a wee bit like, yeah, actually that is true. He's just such a good comedy actor, Jonathan Watson. Do you know what I mean? And it's those wee sort of subtleties. I can't remember what's going. Oh yeah, it's when they go to the Lord Provost's dinner, and Bob takes over the speech because he thinks the Lord Provost's speech is boring, and he stands up, and Frank's like, "Lock up your daughters," just in anticipation of this, his absolute idol's about to take the floor and make some great jokes and give a brilliant speech. It's so good.
Do you think, though, that, and I do wonder this just from watching it, because Bob has all these fabled stories about all his experience with his skirt, and all the things he's done. And I can't work out if he's just kind of making up these stories in a way. He doesn't seem to have as much success or much tact with the skirt. Has Frank been there on this journey? Because there is the time in the prayer group when they're discussing, Bob is wanting to tell a story about adventures with the skirt, and they're kind of sharing, oh, will I tell that one with the turnip? No, you can't tell that. Oh, what about the one on the bus? No. Oh, well, okay. So has Frank been there for a lot of these adventures, or is a lot of these adventures in Bob's head? Because he does seem like the type of character, and we all know people like this. Because Frank and Bob, it seems like they spend pretty much every waking hour together.
Yeah.
Is Bob the type that Frank goes to the toilet, and then when Frank comes back, Bob's like, oh, I've just had Dorothy around. I had her here, there, and everywhere. Oh, it was amazing. Yeah. Oh, it was amazing. Oh, you've just missed it. And Frank would be like, oh, okay. Oh, wow, that was quick. But, I'll believe it. You're a legend, Bob. We all know people like that.
Yeah.
I can't work out if Bob genuinely was a legendary skirt Lothario back in the day, or if a lot of it is in his head and he is a complete fantasist. I mean, he obviously did have quite a successful business with the Burger Empire, because he's got that nice house with that beautiful extension.
Yep.
And we need to come back to the extension to mention that. I just wonder if this did happen, or if Bob's making up a lot of these fantasies.
If he's a fantasist. I mean, there's a lot of line where, maybe in the second series, when he's talking about how Frank's got a girlfriend, and it used to be that Frank used to hold Bob's coat when he was getting in about the skirt, and now, you know. I mean, the second series, I mean, I enjoyed it, and it's got some great moments and some brilliant lines in it, but I didn't enjoy it as much as I enjoyed the first series. I think it was the whole sort of Bob sort of trying to sabotage Frank's relationship, and you know, he redeems himself in the right way. At the end, like, he doesn't quite 100% make up for all the stuff he's done to try and sabotage Frank and Dorothy's impending marriage. But he does just enough so you're like, you know, we kind of forgive him, and Frank forgives him and stuff, but he still has to go to the minister and say, follow that, and he's still got to do his bizarre puppet show in the reception. That was weird.
Yeah, that puppet show was very strange. I was looking forward, because he does mention, I think it's one of the early lines in that episode, well, I've cancelled the DJ, I'm going to do an adult puppet show. And I was dying to see this, and it was quite disappointing in the end.
Anticlimactic.
I do wonder that when the show got commissioned, Neil Forsyth did say, well, the book and kind of radio show was all about emails. I don't know how this is going to work on screen.
Yeah.
So, Bob seems like the kind of guy that would stand for local council and become independent. So the first series completely revolves around the election. That's done. You've got nothing to do in the second series, so what do you do? And it does seem that kind of each episode is kind of siloed. So the first episode, it's okay, right, we'll give Frank a girlfriend, we'll make Bob chase this skirt counsellor. Yeah. First episode will be about the burger van. The second episode is just the complete trial of him assaulting Hendo, who we still have to come back to.
Yeah.
And then the third episode revolves around the wedding. So I completely agree. I do think the second episode doesn't seem to flow quite as well. It does have a concurrent storyline, but seems a bit hit and miss. But I agree, there are some cracking lines. One of my favourite lines, I think, from the series is in the second series.
Yeah.
But the first series just flows so much better as a story, and you believe and you can watch it and see the whole process of the election. Even the start of the episode, it comes up on the screen how many weeks there are to the election. And I think it just works really well, seeing how the campaign's going, how the campaign's building. What's he going to do this week to fuck up his campaign? Is he going to try and get the advantage on the other candidates? But second series just feels a little bit kind of flat in a way. Apart from more Alex Norton. You need more Alex Norton. So when he answers the door as Henderson, it's just immediate, oh, here we go. That face-off they have in the lounge is absolutely phenomenal. And it's just like seeing two, pardon the pun, heavyweights of Scottish acting going mano a mano on screen. It's a beautiful scene. The way they interact. I need more Norton and Cox together.
I know. I mean, even like the second episode. I mean, Hendo's in the first episode of the second series a bit, but obviously more so in the second series with the trial. But he doesn't have as much to do in that episode. You know, the scene that you've just described, the sort of face-off, the showdown in Hendo's living room, you know, he does more in that sort of 10 minutes or so, or 15 minutes that scene lasts, than he does in that whole second episode of the second series, because he's just sort of sitting there in a body cast for most of it and making the odd sort of quip or the odd line or whatever. But yeah, I mean, he puts his TV in the fish tank. 2 of his fish have died of heart attacks. You owe him 2 fish. The fish were fine. They died of heart attacks.
It's the beautiful way, the pettiness. They haven't forgotten. Oh, it's a nice place you've got here. Where's your extension? Oh, I haven't got one. Oh, I'm thinking of getting one. Yeah. And it's just the beautiful delivery. Of course, when he comes back about it's for the grandchildren. Have you got any grandchildren, Bob?
Yeah.
Because no. Hey, am I right in thinking you ran away with a boy from Fintry with a red Sierra?
Oh, hello. Am I right in thinking that you ran away with that boy from Fintry? Well, I drove the red Sierra. I think it was you. That was my wife. What was your wife? Oh, I knew it was one of yous.
Right, well, thanks for popping round, lads, but town down just about this.
Just getting the boot in a sly way, and that's where Bob excels.
Yeah.
Those just little cheeky little lines that when he calls Nick and his wife, he's got lovely little names for them. Is it Tweedledum and Dickhead? And then were they running down the beach and he goes, oh, here we go, Atletico Bell End. It's just so good.
Speaking of the beach, I love them. After they've ran out of Hendo's house, when they hear the police coming, they're lying on the beach watching the house. And you see the policeman walking up in the distance, and then they're behind them, and he's like, don't move a muscle. As if the police won't be able to see them if they just stay really still. I mean, I imagine Brian Cox probably spent the first sort of 10 years of his professional life really suppressing his Dundonian accent. I wonder if it was quite liberating for him to be able just to let it sort of fly in Bob's Servant, or if he had to really sort of get his little colloquialisms back and his little set of heavier bits of accent and all that, you know?
I'd imagine it probably comes quite naturally in a way. I mean, it does sound completely natural. It doesn't sound put on when he's coming away with some of the words and some of the expressions he says. It really sounds genuine. You know, you genuinely believe this character.
Yeah.
The way he's saying things.
It doesn't end the words Broughty Ferry with Y's. He ends them with is Broughty Ferry. You know, he ends them with A's. The scene at Radio Scotland in Dundee, I mean, that whole episode, and I mean, we'll maybe come back to it in the categories later on, but like from the moment they arrive at the studios and his nose is out of joint when he finds out that it's on the radio and he's put on like the good suit and the good overcoat and all that, like from that point until like the very end when he's won the crowd over and he's sort of marching out of the studio celebrating. I mean, that has to be some of the best comedy ever written. And Neil Forsyth, I think, wrote Guilt, which I've not seen, but you think you've seen Guilt, right? And it's a drama, right? It's not a comedy. Is it like a comedy drama?
I think it's a black drama. I haven't watched it yet.
It's a black drama. Like Desmond's.
A black comedy.
Oh yeah, Desmond's a black comedy.
Desmond's isn't a black drama. Like
right, black
loosely
comedy.
Kind of light-hearted kind of drama thing.
Right, okay. I mean, I've not watched it. Maybe we'll have to cover it for the Swally, I think, in a few episodes' time.
I think Series 2 is just wrapped filming, so it might be quite good to maybe do Series 1 just before Series 2 comes out.
Yep, jump on those guilt hashtags on Instagram.
Exactly, let's do that. I agree, that is phenomenal. It's obviously Bob's big moment that he's got the debate. So what do you have Frank doing? Well, you have him interacting with a side character and asking for varying degrees of food. And poor Lassie just gets pissed off. What does he ask for? Like a lemon meringue pie?
Lemon sorbet. Oh, can I get...
Sorbet.
Do you think I could get a wee bit of lemon sorbet? She's like, piss off.
And Frank trying to do the Darren Brown on Nick. Again, it's the interaction between the two. When Frank says he's trying to Darren Brown you, Bob loses it. It doesn't work if you tell him.
But he even says it to Pollyanna McIntosh when they're up in the gallery. Frank tells her that he's away to get Darren Brown or something like that.
His impassioned speech, the Braveheart speech, includes how come Cilla Black got blind date and not Lulu?
You say, well, did Lulu apply? She shouldn't have to.
And how come the Crankies didn't get invited to play Band-Aid?
That's right. But if you remember, that's when he wins the audience, because he says, the guy goes, well, can the Crankies sing? Can the Crankies sing?
They not heard we're all going to Spain.
Wee Jeanette Took is a hell of a chanter, so she is.
Right, so how bad are Bob's Cheeseburgers? I want to know this because obviously we do get the impression, well, we get the fact in season 2 when he says, what meat are you using? And he says it's a collage of meat.
She's like, that sounds worrying.
We know that Frank, to prove that Frank had to, eat everything on the menu and he couldn't feel his hands for 2 days. We know that the Lord Provost, with her special necklace, made Bob put a sign in his window saying that if people ate too many cheeseburgers, they could die. They sold more cheeseburgers. Granted, 2 people did die. I want to know, how bad is the Widowmaker, and what in the hell is in the computer burger? Computer burger is first mentioned in the wedding episode, and I thought it was part of the wedding kind of buffet, so I presumed they would be bite-sized, if you get the pun. But obviously they're not bite-sized. They seem like normal-sized burgers. What the fuck is in the computer burger?
The computer burger's there, I think, just to show not only how out of touch Bob is, but also how out of touch Frank is. It's like, oh, the kids will be going wild for the computer burger. It's for the same reason they open Bob's Water Burger Disco and hire all those.
It's a huge success, though.
Yeah, because they've hired all those guys to come and dance outside the van, including the paper boy in his vest.
It's other little side touches. Did you notice the sign outside the nursing home when he goes to visit his mum?
Yes.
Cheerio and all the very best nursing home. I need to talk about Sheila Reid. She is fantastic as Bob's mum. I mean, I know her from later years from, I don't know if you ever watched Benidorm.
No, not really.
In.
I've seen bits of Bob's.
It's worth watching it for her series. She's phenomenal in it. But she's great as Bob's mum in the nursing home. And as you say, she loves Frank. And when he turns up with all the reporters, she's just... You get a nice little glimpse into Frank's childhood. Bob's childhood, rather. Sorry. But he's obviously reconnected after she ran off with the binman.
So when she's talking, when he's holding the press conference in a room, and he's got the guy who works for like the sort of bus period, the sort of Tayside bus periodical, and the other 2 local journalists there, and she's saying all the things that he doesn't want her to say, and he's kind of got the pillow in his hand, and I thought, is there going to be a bit of a sort of jokey Tony Soprano moment or something here that's going to slaughter his political ambitions even more? But after the when he wins over the crowd in the studio, I was a wee bit disappointed in the next episode, which is the final episode, the election episode, when you find out he's only got 112 votes. Part of me thought they might have him win it because of how well he's gone down in the studio debate, in the studio, and then I thought, well, you can imagine like Bob serving in London as an MP, what would that be like? But so then I thought, well, they won't have him win it, but I thought he would have done a wee bit better than just only 112 votes.
I think, it had to be a failure, and it gives Bob his opportunity to deliver a few more lines when it's almost damage limitation in a way when he's saying that he's withdrawing his bid after he's lost. That sums up Bob. And when he's saying, and if you have cheated and it's only a rumour,
it's no rumour at the moment.
He's putting that into people's head, and that it just gives Bob one last opportunity to show the kind of character he is, and that he's he's a massive sore loser, because he was expecting a win. Yeah, he was fully convinced he would win this election.
Bob considers his popularity in much the same way as a character like David Brent considers his popularity as a boss. You know what I mean? So Bob thinks that he is this big popular man about Broughty Ferry in the same way that David Brent thinks that everybody loves working for him because he's such a good laugh and he's really funny. He doesn't push them that hard. And I think the election should really tell Bob that he's not the big deal that he thought he was. He still doesn't accept it. Do you know what I mean? in the same way that David Brent, despite sort of losing his job at the end of the second series of The Office, and then the way that he's sort of treated in the Christmas special before he it sort of comes good for him. But he still never really accepts the fact that he's not a great boss and he's not that popular with the people that work for him, and he's not hilariously funny to them. He is to us. You know what I mean? It's just like that sort of, there's no sort of pathos there, because he's just sort of just in total denial about the town's opinion of him. You know what I mean? And I don't think the town, did you mention it earlier on? I don't think the town necessarily has a bad opinion of him in any sense or the other. It's just that they don't really know who he is.
Yeah, I think that's it. They're a bit confused as to who he actually is. He's just a guy that used to sell burgers, and they don't necessarily know him, but he does think he's a big shot. And he does say, you know, I'm a big fish round here.
Yeah.
Just because he's got a bit of money and he's got the extension. He thinks he's the big guy.
I mean, what I always say about Bob's extension, fucking hell of a view of the Tay from his window.
It's beautiful. You can see all the way to Fife.
The things he hears coming across the water at night. Coyotes.
It is an incredible view that he has, so you can say that. And hey, the extension paid for itself.
Yeah, I'm not sure how it paid for itself.
Well, that was just an expression, as he...
Yeah, I mean, I gotta be honest, Dundee and Tayside in general, of all the places in Scotland, I've never spent any time there at all. I mean, I've gone through Dundee in the train or in the car often, like many times. And I actually really like getting the train from from Stirling up to Aberdeen, because that whole neck of the woods, when you're going past Carnoustie and you go up north of Dundee and you're going by Broughty Ferry and Montrose and Arbroath, it's a really, really nice journey. Do you know what I mean? The scenery is absolutely brilliant. But yeah, I've never spent any time there.
When I was a kid, like on occasional bank holidays, me and my mum and my sister would go to maybe Montrose or Arbroath or through to Dundee to go shopping. I mean, yeah, it's a beautiful area. Beautiful part of this country. It's really nice. There's a lot to take in there. Mm-hmm. And I think that's one thing that Bob Servant does, as in the show, not the independent candidate. It makes Broughty Ferry look beautiful. There's some lovely shots, you know, on the beach, and as you say, from Bob's extension. It does look like a really nice place, and I think it does it a good service in that way.
It would have been easy to take the piss out of the community. Still Game can be a wee bit guilty of that on occasion. Like there's a few stereotypes in Still Game, like Jake Darcy is was the Jakey. I forgot the Jakey's first name, and you know Jake Darcy plays Pete the Jakey, and then Methadone Mike and stuff like that. You know, there's, you know, I guess it's not offensive, I don't think, but I think it's a wee bit of a shortcut that Bob Servant doesn't take. Like, at no point is anybody a figure of fun apart from Frank and Bob, I think, you know. Maybe Objection, the lawyer.
Yeah, possibly Objection, and then Sid, who is covered in mud just with his eyes and his mouth.
It doesn't exist.
He's a bit of a figure of fun. Oh, of course he doesn't exist, that's right.
Yeah.
I think you're right, yeah, it's just the two of them, and then Objection. Yeah, because even the barman, Stewpot, isn't a figure of fun. He regularly takes the piss out of Frank. You know, I love that in the I think it's the episode 4, the media, and Frank has the interview, and then it gets shown, and he goes into the pub, and Stewpot's pouring a pint, and he goes, "How's that wanting to be Annie Lennox thing going?" It's the deadpan delivery that makes it so good, and he's not a figure of fun character either. He's got he's got the one up on Bob and Frank.
Yeah, I mean, like, even Greg McHugh obviously plays Anders, the local DJ who's in the first episode and the 5th episode, because he hosts the debate at Radio Scotland. You know, and he plays a sort of believable, maybe kind of local drive home DJ, but he doesn't play him. It's not like an exaggerated version of like some moron DJ. Do you know what I mean? He's very much like we've had Greg McHugh on before when we did the Gary Tank Commander pilot, Gary's War, and we know that he is a phenomenal comedy actor, but yet he's very happy just to play a very good straight man to Brian Cox, you know?
Yeah, because as you say, it's not a ridicule, because Anders in the afternoon on Broughty Ferry FM would not be hosting a political debate on Radio Scotland.
It's unlikely.
So he's obviously got a good kind of reputation as a DJ and journalist. So yeah, I think you're right. He's a very good straight man.
He's sort of become a sort of Nicky Campbell type character from the first episode to the 5th episode, maybe, you know, from Wheel of Fortune to Crime Watch.
Before we wind up and go through awards, there are quite a lot of wonderful celebrity name drops in this series. So you have like Daley Thompson, Bob Geldof, Terry Waite, Lenny Henry, Annika Rice, Timmy Mallet. Have you got any particular favourites? Because I've got two that stand out for me terms of mentions.
I've got the Prince Charles one in the very last episode when he's trying to put Frank off marriage, and he's like, look at Charles and Di. Their wedding didn't work out. He had to go and live with his auntie. I mean, that killed me. I think that one and the Lenny Henry one were two of my particular favourites. But there's so many. It's you've got a whole memory board there of one-liners. It looks like
I do pretty much. My two favourites, without a doubt, are in the first episode of series 2 when Bob says that Sir Trevor MacDonald is the maddest shagger in Britain.
Right, I'd forgotten that one.
My second favourite, and it could be my favourite line from the whole series, comes in episode 5, The Debate, when Nick asks Bob if he's nervous, and he says, I've only been nervous 3 times my whole life.
I've only been nervous 3 times in my life. Okay. The day I was born, when I first used a SodaStream, and that time I thought I saw Fred West in Argus. And there won't be a fourth.
Brilliant. So I mean, there's too many. Like, we could just do like a Bob Servant one-liner podcast and probably get like 2 90-minute episodes out of it. So we could.
I think we might get some copyright issues doing that. We've probably already done enough, to be honest. Anyway, so anything else on Bob Servant? Have you got any other gleaming facts or anything?
I don't have any facts. Oh, there is one little point that I forgot to mention that made me laugh in the first series is Frank's black box ringtone every time his phone rings.
I meant to mention that.
It's right on time.
I meant to mention that. That's phenomenal. Nice little attention to detail, nice little touch there, and what a random ringtone to have. I did see that this show was voted number 2 on an article the Scotsman did a couple of years ago on the 20 best Scottish TV shows of all time. I don't know if I'd agree with that. Don't think I would. I'd put it in the top 20 maybe, but I wouldn't put it number 2.
I mean, I guess it's voted by people by the Scotsman, who probably also watch BBC 4. You know what I mean? They've probably never seen High Times or something like that, you know. But I think as a comedy show, you know, I can't think of another Scottish sitcom where like so many. I mean, not even like a Scottish sitcom, but like a British sitcom of recent years where so many funny lines and funny occurrences, just like, I mean, almost every few minutes in every episode something funny happens, and it's if it's not something that makes you sort of grin, it's something that makes you just fucking have to pause it and wipe your eyes and then wind it back. You know what I mean? It's just packed full of gold.
What makes it so funny as well, would you agree, is that it's deadpan delivery and there's no canned laughter. That's Absolutely. What makes it so much funnier for me. That's my type of humour. It's all deadpan delivery. There's no looks to camera. There's no kind of it's just completely seriously played. And as you say, there's so many one-lines. We even forgot it kind of reminded me the scene where Bob and Frank are looking through the papers for conversation topics to discuss on their date with Shirley Henderson. We didn't even discuss Shirley Henderson. That just reminded me of looking for news stories for the Swally, and I'm thinking, is that boy with his head stuck in a bucket? Is that going to work?
He'll be inadvertently inspired by Bob Servant's skirt chasing repertoire, preparations. I mean, to go back to what you were saying before, you know, it's a comedy show that entirely trusts its audience to know when it's funny, what's going on. There's not even any massive bits of exposition, like where they shoehorn a scene in where Bob explains in great detail why he's running to be an independent candidate. His reasons for wanting to do it sort of evolve all the way through, and they sort of chop and change as I guess Bob kind of blows in the wind a little bit in terms of why he's doing this, and you know what I mean, all that kind of thing. It's incredibly clever, and I can't think of a comedy. Like, I suppose they again come back to a bit of an Office comparison. The Office sort of trusts the audience as well. There's no laughter track, etc. But it's the Office is funny, but there's not as much sort of comedy just crammed in. It's not like Ricky Gervais has sort of thought to himself when they've been writing it, right, we need to get something hilarious in every 5 minutes. Bang, 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 bang. And I don't think that that's necessarily what Neil Forsyth has done either. It's just that they've put together this brilliant sort of company of actors. They've totally struck gold with Brian Cox, who you mentioned before when you were explaining the character reminded him of his brother, so he had something to draw on, and I'm sure his brother wasn't the only person that he's known in his life growing up in Tayside that he's taken elements from, and just built this. And I also wonder how much of it is just completely off the script, and I wonder how much of it is just sort of come out in rehearsals or ad-libs or whatever, and it's sort of evolved episodes. It'd be interesting to maybe have to try and track down a wee bit of Brian Cox or Jonathan Watson talking about filming Bob Servant, and maybe we should have done that before we did the podcast.
I did try and have a look, and I watched a couple of interviews, but there was nothing concrete about the filming of the TV show. It was about the radio show, because I wanted to find out if it was fully scripted or if it was kind of improvised to an effort. But I think it was pretty scripted.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would love to know that, because little things like when the vicar, they're having a little bit of banter, and he says, "Well, Bob, you told people that I was a wizard." That I'd love to know if that was in the script or if there was a few iterations of that. And of course, Bob uses I was confused. I'd seen a film, like, he uses that a lot. I want to know if stuff like that, or as I say, like Bob's, when he's describing the election candidate and his wife, if they are kind of made up when he's Atletico Bellend and stuff, if that was just came off, or if there were a few iterations of that, I'd love to see that. But who knows? Maybe I'll need to try and get a hold of scripts.
I wonder if they'll ever bring Bob Servant back. I mean, I suppose they could do. They could bring him back anytime, really, just for maybe a wee one-off. I'm not sure what they'd do.
They could. They did, I think, I can't remember what it was for, if it was for the coronavirus or something. There was a little quick YouTube video sketch of Bob Servant. I meant to watch it and I forgot. One last thing, I mean, to speak about Brian Cox, because I had wondered, why do we not have Sir Brian Cox by now? And I looked into that, and he is a CBE.
Right.
He's awarded a CBE many years ago, and he very much resents the fact that he accepted that. And he said he will never become a knight. He said he is fully behind an independent Scotland and doesn't believe in the royal family. And he only accepted the CBE to impress his sister, who is a massive royalist, but she didn't give a shit. So... He said he would not be accepting any knighthood, and I'd imagine if he had have done, we would have had a Sir Brian Cox by now. Sure.
Yeah. Oh, you've got to think. I mean, other people have been knighted for far less. So,
but yeah, he doesn't believe in it. Good on you, Brian.
Good for you, Brian.
We're behind you on this, Swally.
Bit of a political turn there toward the end of the Bob Servant episode.
But sorry about that.
Shall we put Bob through the awards?
Yes, let's do it. What have you got first on the Swally Awards this week?
All right, so in no particular order. So sort of archetypal Scottish moments.
Okay.
What did you have there?
What did you go for? Oh no, what did you go for? You were about to launch into it and I interrupted you.
Well, I was going to say there's something about the way he gets the audience on side in the debate that for some reason it's not so. I'm not trying to say that Scottish people are easily influenced, because I don't believe that they are. I think it's the opposite, if anything. But when you do find a wee common cause, and it can be anything from all the way up to Scottish independence, right down to nobody dismisses the Crankies. You know what I mean? The Crankies might not be like massively internationally successful, but they still belong to us.
Hey, buddy, it works in the next episode when the old guy goes up in the queue and he says, were you the guy on the radio speaking about the Crankies? Yeah. My vote's for you. It works.
It does. But it's just that sort of Scottish thing of like, look, we know the Crankies are not great, but don't come up here and start putting the Crankies down. Just fucking won't stand for it. What did you have for yours?
Similar to you, but slightly more political, and it was about English politicians coming up to Scotland and standing for a Scottish constituency. And as he says when he wins the by-election, and of course I won't be residing in Broughty Ferry, I'll be sort of commanding here from Westminster, but I'll be keeping a good eye. And that was something that, although not an archetypal Scottish moment, it kind of stuck in my craw, and I was like, you know what, that's right. That is something that is a big thing. Second on the list was the big statue of Desperate.
Yeah. Which is a real thing. You can see it in Dundee. I think there's some other characters from the Dandy and the Beano immortalised in pewter in the centre of Dundee. Okay, next award then is the Ewan McGregor Award for gratuitous nudity. So what did you have for that?
I had objections, bare arse. That was all I had.
That's all I had.
That's all there is, isn't it?
Yeah. So the Francis Begbie Award for swearing. What did you have for that one?
I've got two, and I can't decide between the two because one is visual and one is just a beautiful delivery of swearing. Yeah. So the first one I have is Bob's hat when he goes to the school in the first episode. And it's Frank's hat from Magaluf, and it's the big middle finger. But my second favourite, actually it's probably my favourite, is in the first episode also, when he's delivering a speech to Frank about how he was a member of Very Good Video and everyone else was a member of Blockbuster, and he used to get slagged off.
Frank, you remember when I was a member of Very Good Video?
Like it was yesterday.
I know the rest of you were members of Blockbusters, the big boys. And you used to slag me off something rotten. Because I'd defend a Very Good Video. I mean, I'd defend them like a
lion.
A lion, aye, like a lion. One day, I cancelled my membership to Very Good Video and joined Blockbusters. And bang! I could see straight away that Very Good Video were absolute shite.
Oh, terrible.
I have to say, I was impressed that they managed to get an F-bomb in probably every episode of this series. So I think they were maybe allowed one, and they got it in every episode. So I was quite impressed. But what did you go for?
No, I had the Very Good Video / Blockbuster Video comparison as well. Just because, I just loved the whole story. I think, as BBC4, I would like to think that they could probably have had a bit more swearing in there had they wanted, but doesn't really need it. So, when he does drop a wee F-bomb here or there, it has all the more gravitas,
Yeah, I think you have I do like before he goes into the school and he does say, I wanted young voters, not the fucking Secret 7.
I forgot that one, Secret 7. So, for the Jake McQuillan's T-Zoot Award, for this one, I've just written down the burger toss when he climbs on the burger van roof and whispers, Hendo, it's burger time, and then batters him with a bag of frozen burgers.
It wasn't Bob, it was Sid.
Oh, sorry, Sid did that.
Oh, okay, fair enough. That was my second choice. My first choice was him kicking the fuck out of Hendo's TV and trying to snap his remote and then just taking the batteries. And the way Norton is, well, just put the back in. It's the delivery of try doing your sums now.
He's waiting for countdown to come on.
It's the fish attack and the TV getting kicked in for me.
Yeah.
I don't know. Is that worse than getting a bag of frozen burgers thrown on your head? I mean, it does leave Hendo in quite a state.
Yeah, well, until we discover that he's making it look worse than it actually is. When Bob expertly catches him out at the very end.
That's because he had the correct court outfit with him.
I love the way that when he puts that hat on and he runs his thumb and his forefinger across the rim every time he puts it on, so right to left. The James Cosmo Award for being in everything Scottish. Quite a few to choose from here.
There are. I've gone for Alex North.
Did you? I went for Ron Donachie.
Oh, really? Yeah, that could be right, actually. You could have me on that.
Yeah.
Maybe I was lazy using Norton, but you're right. Donachie is in quite a lot, too.
I mean, I think I can understand why, because I went to Norton first as well, because obviously he's, this is no doubt secured his position at the top of the Swally tally.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I thought, going in there, he's 2 for 2. He was in Filth as Hector the Farmer, and a fleeting appearance.
Yeah, he's got a fleeting appearance in here as well, but we'll give it to him. Yeah, why not?
What was your favourite episode?
Oh, good question. I didn't actually think about that. Oh, now I've got to. Oh, I don't know. There's so many good ones, and there's so many elements of. You know what? I'm gonna have to say the first episode. I think that was my favourite.
Yeah, I was between the first episode and the episode with the debate at Radio Scotland. But I quite like the trial episode as well.
The debate episode is very good. I do like the media episode because it's got the Annie Lennox and horse references, and it's got the immortal line, number 26 to Fintry, best atmosphere in town.
Yeah.
I do like that. I think I'd have to give it to the first episode.
Yeah.
If I'm being honest, it just sets up the scene so well, and it's so funny. And yeah, I'm gonna go for that. But I agree, the other choices are very good.
Yeah. And then the Sean Connery Award. Who wins it? Who got to go home and fuck the prom queen?
Brian Cox.
Yeah, that's it. Come on. Yeah. There can't be anybody else.
I mean, if you're talking about actors, it's Brian Cox. If you're talking about characters, it's Frank, because he gets to go on his parrot swing.
Yeah, I mean, that was just, the revelation that Frank's got a sex swing in the bedroom just got me over.
Bob's delivery, though, is she got a parrot. And he gets to pay, what's it, PC Bad Apple.
Yeah. He enjoys very much.
But yeah, it has to be Cox, I think. It's his show. And although I think it is very much a two-hander with Jonathan Watson,
especially
Cox
takes the end.
Takes a lot.
Yeah. Especially
Cox takes most of the...
The second series in the last sort of second half of the first series, when Frank starts to come into his own with a fake suicide attempt, and and I like the way that last episode sort of ends, where Frank and Bob have sort of reconciled despite Bob kidnapping Frank and everything else, and being uninvited to the wedding and everything, and the whole sort of, I believe our best days are still in front of us and all that kind of thing. It was quite a nice way to end it, It does leave it open if they want to have another run at it at some point,
Yeah, I think HBO will have quite a few things to say about that, to be honest.
Yeah. That was good fun. That was good. I enjoyed talking about Bob Servant almost as much as I enjoyed watching it.
If you'd like to hear a bonus episode of us just quoting Bob Servant quotes to each other, then let us know on social media, and we'll be more than happy to do that, because I've got a fucking massive list of quotes I'd quite happily call out. I've hardly said any of them, Your eyes are like grapes. Did you know all the hymns?
Nicky's, for the benefit, obviously you can't see this because we're only recording it, we're not filming it, but Nicky has actually made a board that he's stuck bits of paper to. He's written his favourite Bob Servant quotes on that he keeps holding up every
one of my favourites that I'm just going to slip in is when Bob's calling up all the skirt, and he phones up Daphne, and she's just had a hip replacement.
That's right.
And Frank says, "You can't. It's a sympathy. People will think you've kicked her."
And if you get the opportunity, then I think you might be able to find Bob Servant on the iPlayer.
I'm not sure. I think it might be on iPlayer. It's definitely available on Amazon, I think.
Okay.
And it might be on iTunes as well, I think.
Okay.
I'm not
There you
sure.
go.
I didn't check.
It'll be available somewhere. Or if not, get yourself down to Very Good Video and see if they've got a copy that you can rent.
Don't go to Very Good Video. I hear they are absolute shite.
Right, so Bob Servant was my pick. What's your pick for the next episode then, Nicky?
I'd like to have a look at a film that I've never actually seen, and I think we've mentioned it a couple of times on the Swally before. And there's quite a few actors in it that have been in the Swally before. But I've never seen this film, and I don't know why. It just kind of has escaped me. So this is going to be the second Ken Loach film that we do on the Swally. So I'd like to take a look at the 2012 film, The Angel's Share.
Oh, brilliant. I've seen it. I've only seen it once. It'd be good to revisit it.
Yeah, never seen it. I don't know why it's escaped me, but for some reason. And that is available at the moment on BBC iPlayer.
Well, there you go. You guys can go ahead and watch it in preparation for the next episode, so you know what we're talking about.
Ah, fantastic. Well, thank you so much for listening, everyone. It's been an absolute pleasure. And hey, if you follow us on iTunes or any of the platforms, please give us a review, rate, subscribe. The ratings really help us. And if you can just give us a little 5-star rating, that'd be so much, that'd be a lot of help. And if you would like to get in touch with us, you can follow us on Instagram at cultureswallypod, or why don't you email us with anything you would like us to cover on the podcast, or any news stories that you've seen in Scotland that you think would be quite amusing for us to cover, and you can email us on cultureswally@gmail.com. Or if you're of the Twitter variety, then you can follow us on @SwallyPod. And Greg, we have a website now. Where can they find the website?
The website is at cultureswallyblog.com, and you can see links to all the episodes we've done, including this one, plus links to some of our favourite news stories over the last 28 episodes. Are we on now? 27, 28 episodes?
I think this will be 28, yeah.
Yep. If you can't be arsed to type in our email address to send us an email, then you can just fill out a wee box on a page of our website and it will come straight to the email address. So come and have a look. At some point, one of us will get round to writing an actual blog post, maybe this week. We're busy people, we do this in our spare time.
And sorry, any Dundee United fans, the game ended 2-0. Ha ha ha, very happy. Well, until next time, Greg, I think it'd be quite fitting to let this episode end with Bob's Braveheart speech, do you think?
I think it would be brilliant to let the audience hear Bob's Braveheart speech.
Okay, till next time, Greg.
Till next time.
And what about Scotland?
Sorry?
You're all standing there with your policies, your notes, and your lovely hair, and then there's a question that keeps going round and round my head like a trapped parrot. What's Scotland getting out of this?
My party has always supported self.
I'm not talking about policies, pal. I'm talking about the people. Us, the oppressed. Always have been, and always will be. We're like the Red Indians.
How exactly are you oppressed?
Okay. Answer me this. How come Cilla Black got that blind date job and not Lulu?
Did Lulu apply?
She shouldn't have to apply. And why were the Crankies not invited to play at Band-Aid?
But can the Crankies sing, is the question.
Can they sing? And why? Why, when you divided up Britain, did you give us the top bit?
Exactly!
That clearly wasn't our decision.
Oh, I bet you had a right laugh at that one, didn't you, eh? Sitting down there, drinking your pina coladas, while we're up here freezing our balls off. Well, I'll tell you, pal, I'll tell you what England's like. England is like a big brother who borrows your snazziest shoes, goes 10-pin bowling, forgets to change his shoes back, comes home with the 10-pin bowling shoes and says, oh, well, it looks as if you better become a 10-pin bowling fan, whether you like it or not. Well, here's the headlines, Mr. Edwards. We don't want to be 10-pin bowlers, do we? No! Ladies and gentlemen of Broughty Ferry, let's send England a message they'll never forget. Let's tell them that they can forget their cricket, their Fiatas and their Roger Moore. We'll have the football, the cheeseburgers, and Sean Connery coming out from under the water and his tiny little bikini. Yeah. So, Mr. Edward, you go back down there and you tell the Prime Minister that we've had enough. Tell him that the people of Broughty Ferry will not be pushed around anymore. And tell him that when the people of Broughty Ferry want to go to the toilet, they will go to the toilet anytime they want. And tell him to give us back the folklore!